Well, it was a volatile day of trade that saw the markets close at one-month low, courtesy weak global cues. Nifty and sensex fell over 1% each, with the market breadth firmly in favor of declines. The broader markets underperformed the benchmarks, with Nifty Bank and Mid-Cap Index falling over 1.5%, while pharma and diagnostic stocks surged. Reopening stocks slipped on COVID concerns. Manglam Malu is joining us now with more details. Manglam, take us through the day's market action.
Well, it was a weak day of trade, but importantly, it was a weak, volatile day of trade. There was rise of fear, and there was rise of COVID fear as well. India VIX was the standout index that told you the story of the day. The Nifty meandered in a 300-point range, with the highs being just below that 18,500 mark and the lows being just above that 18,150 mark as well, which again is in the broad range of both the 50 and the 20-day moving averages of the Nifty. Talking about moving averages, the Nifty Bank, which had held on to the 20-day moving average, had now broken it in today's trading session and closed below that as well. The broader markets were telling you that there was weakness, weak internals, 5 stocks declined for each stock that advanced, and the mid-cap index underperformed both the Nifty as well as the Nifty Bank. The only index that stood its ground today was the Nifty Pharmaceutical Index, and a bunch of these diagnostic stocks that gained on fears of rising COVID cases in China. So just to name a few, we had Glenmark Pharma, Granules, Divi's and Cipla from the Pharma pack do extremely well. Diagnostic gainers for Metropolis, Dr. Lal and Thyrocare. But on the weaker side, we had all those unlocked stocks go back into losing terrain. But these again are just fears, and as a result of which we saw a bit of decline in Indian Hotels, Delta Corp, PVR as well as Trent. It was a weak day. It was a weak, volatile day.
Right, Manglam, thanks a lot for that update. Now, the government has been considering making changes to the insolvency and bankruptcy law, and sources have told CNBC that the aim is to reduce delays and expedite the resolution process. Sapna Das joining us now with more details. Sapna, take us through some of these proposed amendments that are being discussed.
Well, certainly there are certain significant amendments the government is mulling on as far as the IBC is concerned. These amendments are at the moment under discussion. We are given to understand the aim here is very clear: to maximize value, to cut back delays, and to expedite the resolution process under IBC. That's the overall aim for bringing about these proposed amendments. For instance, a lot of it is already covered under rules and regulations of IBC, but many a time they go unimplemented. Industry at some point in time says that it's not part of the act and hence it cannot be done. So to plug those kind of loopholes as well, the government is proposing to take on a lot of the stuff into the act itself. We are given to understand the nature of these amendments is going to be wide-ranging. For example, things like tighter timelines for admission of applications, litigation, liquidation, nature of the bids, value of the bids. All of that is under review at the moment. The government has already informed Parliament that around 47% of the IBC cases, they could be closed only beyond the 270-day mandated timeline. It's 180 days plus 90 days for resolution, and many of them have gone beyond that timeline. So to take care of all of this, amendments are being proposed, and if all goes well, maybe the government will be in a position to bring them into the Parliament sometime in the second half of the budget session.
Right, Sapna, thanks a lot for that update. Now, the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that she's looking forward to engaging with India Inc. on stepping up private sector investments. Speaking today in the Parliament, the Finance Minister said that she has been urging private companies to up their investment on various occasions and will continue to nudge them to expand their capex.
I have gone to the various fora in which I met with private investors, industry leaders, business leaders, saying they should really rev up on investments. Yes, as Finance Minister, when I have an opportunity to interact with them, it will certainly be something which I look forward to engaging with them and also nudging them to see if they can be even more coming forward towards investing more.
Shares of City Union Bank slumped after the RBI found divergence of around 260 crore rupees in the bank's additional gross non-performing assets for FY22. The bank had reported gross bad loans of more than 1,900 crore rupees as of 31st of March 2022. However, the RBI assessed gross bad loans for FY22 to be nearly 2,200 crore rupees. Latest on the sale of Reliance Capital under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Court. The e-auction has begun today, and sources tell CNBC-TV18 that the base bid for the sale has been set at 6,500 crore rupees. We also learned that Cosme Financial Holdings has written to the Committee of Creditors, indicating it may not participate in the auction. Earlier, the Piramal Cosme Consortium had offered around 5,200 crore rupees for RCAP. IL&FS has transferred 2 more road special purpose vehicles to InvIT at an enterprise value of over 970 crore rupees. The 2 SPVs are Hazaribagh-Ranchi Expressway and Thiruvananthapuram Road Development Company Limited. With this transfer, InvIT now has 4 road SPVs at an aggregate value of 5,300 crore rupees. Taking a step towards sustainability, mining company Vedanta has announced incentives for its employees for buying electric vehicles. The company has launched an EV policy effective this December. It extends incentives ranging from 30 to 50% for purchase of 4-wheeler and 2-wheeler electric vehicles. The company has also pledged to decarbonize all of their light motor vehicles by 2030. RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das made yet another pitch for banking private cryptocurrencies, saying that they originated to bypass and break the system and have no underlying value. Speaking at an event organized by Business Standard, Governor Das warned that private cryptocurrencies are allowed to thrive. It may cause next financial crisis.
They have absolutely no underlying. And not only that, I am yet to hear any credible argument about what public good or what public purpose it serves. If it is allowed to grow, that if you try to regulate it and allow it to grow, please mark my words, the next financial crisis will come from private cryptocurrencies.
Speaking at the same event, RBI Deputy Governor Ravi Shankar asserted that fintech and non-banking finance companies need to be regulated like banks and defended the recent rules introduced by the central bank.
If we want to avoid the inefficiencies caused by differential regulations for similar activities across different entities, a non-bank undertaking banking functions needs to be licensed and regulated like a bank. Without the license, it should not be allowed to undertake banking activities. This, for example, is what RBI in essence did recently when it clarified that prepaid instruments cannot be funded out of credit lines.
Well, with that, it's time now to slip into a very short break. But coming up on the other side, after 2 months, Union Health Minister chairs a meeting of the COVID task force as infections are on the rise in China. We speak to top doctors across the country to take stock.
Elin Electronics Limited, one of the largest fractional horsepower motor manufacturers in India, launches an initial public offering of equity shares of the face value of ₹5 each in a price band of ₹234 to ₹247 per equity share. Bid offer opens on December 20, 2022, closes on December 22, 2022. For risk factors and more details, please refer to the RHP available on the websites of SEBI, the book running lead managers, and the stock exchanges.
Magnificent picture, magnificent sound, magnificent experience, Magnifique. High-performance TVs by iWide Japan, now in India.
In India's world of work, enterprises are constantly innovating to provide great customer and employee experience. With the highest level of operational and technological excellence, let's celebrate the achievements, learn from experiences of the leader who spearheads these innovations. The Chief Operating Officer, Forbes India and ServiceNow present the COO Collective.
Presented by ServiceNow.
देखो 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 नया टीवी देखो aha got the veggies from Chotu's shop. He gives the right rate.
Yes, Papa.
Decided 55-inch TV on this wall.
Oh, super. I'll write out the check tomorrow.
No, you don't. I will with my own money.
Oh, wow. How come?
Look at this advertisement. 30% assured returns on investment. I am also going to invest my money.
So vegetables only from Chotu's shop, but investment advice from anyone? Papa, trusting a stranger's advice is never wise.
But what about the TV?
सोच कर समझ कर इन्वेस्ट कर
Life will test you. It will turn your world upside down. Again and again and again. The only way to hit back is to stand up. Stand up every time and say, I'm not done.
क्या हुआ चैंपियन?
दिन रात प्रैक्टिस करनी पड़ती है। यहाँ तो रात को स्टेडियम ही बंद हो जाता है।
एक काम करो ना, चेन छोड़ छोड़ के लगाना।
पापा?
अब करो दिन रात प्रैक्टिस। चैंपियन।
एक्स्ट्रा सेफ पॉलीकैप ग्रीन वायर, आपके सपनों को रखे सेफ।
जिंदगी को दें रफ्तार, शुरू करें इसी त्योहार। खुशियों का सफर बिताएं साथ मिलकर। त्योहार तभी हो जब अपने साथ हो। SBI के संग इस त्योहार छोटी किश्त से बड़ी खुशियां ले आए। SBI, the banker to every Indian.
Welcome back. Now, after 2 months, the Union Health Minister has chaired a meeting of the COVID task force as infections are on the rise across China. The government has advised citizens to wear a mask in crowded places, even as it insisted that there is no reason to panic just yet. The central government, meanwhile, has already urged all states to conduct genome sequencing of positive samples to keep track of emerging variants. Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia has asked officials to strengthen surveillance as well.
18 के ऊपर प्रिकॉशन डोज सबको लगनी चाहिए, लेकिन लगी है सिर्फ 27-28%। तो हम अपील करेंगे कि प्रिकॉशन डोज जिसको नहीं लगी है वो ले लीजिए। ये भारत की पेंडेमिक रिस्पांस का एक पिलर है, पॉलिसी है, वैक्सीन अवेलेबल हैं, तो उसको तरफ जाइए। और पर्टिकुलरली जो हमारे सिटीजन्स, सीनियर सिटीजन्स हैं, वो कोई छूट गए हैं प्रिकॉशन डोज से, तो हमेशा की तरह जैसे हम पहले भी अपील करते थे कि उनका हमें ज़्यादा ख्याल करना है।
To help us put these developments in perspective is joining us a distinguished panel. Firstly, Dr. Rajesh Chawla, Senior Consultant, Pulmonology and Critical Care at New Delhi's Indraprastha Apollo Hospitals with us. Also with us, Dr. Sanjeet Sasidharan, Consultant and Head of Critical Care at Mumbai's Fortis SL Raheja Hospital. And also joining us, Dr. Sandeep Nair, Senior Director and Head of Department, Chest and Respiratory Diseases at New Delhi's BLK Max Super Speciality Hospital. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Chawla, let me come to you first. As the government itself, as Mr. Mandavia himself, in fact, shared with the members of the press that this variant that is being seen is in fact the BF7 strain of the Omicron variant. The question I then want to ask you is, as a country that has already experienced the Omicron wave, how much of a concern is this for India?
You know, I think this panic which has been created is because of the rise in the number of cases in China recently. And deaths have also been reported because they lifted the ban and suddenly there is a surge of cases. So far it is a Omicron variant, and as you said, but I think the only worry is that because of travel, no travel restrictions and people will travel, and as the number of cases may rise in China and some other part like US, Korea and others have also reported little increase in the number of cases. So at present, I think we should not panic. And this is an indication that pandemic is still not over. And we should continue to have a policy of testing, tracking, treatment and vaccination, because they should and we should all follow the COVID appropriate behavior. Because I think till the whole world has of this for a long time, we should not think it lightly, like because in India, most of the places we are not wearing masks. This is another indication that the time is coming, we may have to again go back to mask if you have decided not to put it, because of winter coming in, people are in closed spaces, so this can really create trouble. So as of now, there is no panic, but I think one should be cautious.
Interesting. You're telling us no reason for panic, but one does need to be cautious. Mr. Sasidharan, same question to you. We've already seen the Omicron wave in India. India was able to tolerate that and able to build resistance to that. The question I then want to ask you is, an increasing body of work suggests that even the new variants that may come, while they may be more transmissible, needn't be necessarily more lethal. Your quick take on that.
Yeah, it's very clear if you look at evidence and what happened in the past. In the March 2022, when we had this massive surge of Omicron all across the globe, there were 60 lakh cases. As of today, there are 17 lakh cases all across the globe. Another thing that we should think is in Jan 2021, when there were 4 lakh cases per day, there was 1 lakh deaths per day. Now we are in December 2022, there are 4 lakh cases and hardly 1,289 deaths. So irrespective of what the variant is, you must understand that the sublineage is of the Omicron variant. And the Omicron variant is not very virulent as of now. Yes, this does not hold good for immunocompromised patients, those who are having comorbidities and the elderly population, but are largely so because of the excellent amount of hybrid immunity that we have. This is not supposed to be very virulent, and that is what is seen across the world.
Sure. Dr. Nair, if I can take this up with you, then in terms of the situation that we have currently in the country, we've seen vaccination of a very large segment of the population. We've seen 3 waves of COVID, which has helped build some amount of natural immunity. Does that then give us a clarity about the road ahead in terms of what Dr. Chawla said, that there is no immediate need for panicking or a knee-jerk reaction at that?
Absolutely. We must compliment our vaccination program the way it has taken off, the way we covered such a large population. It's been a huge success, honestly speaking. Secondly, unfortunately, many of us definitely got infected with the COVID also, and probably there is some herd immunity which has been set in among all us Indians. If you look at China, they were the early lockdown and they were a fixed number. There was never an increase in number. And probably none of them were infected that way. Probably that herd immunity probably wouldn't have been there the way we have it with us. And of course, our vaccination schedule was amazing. Second thing, which Dr. Chawla also said, that nothing to panic. I would also reiterate one more point. Of course, at present, the numbers are not there in India, but there's no travel restriction, which already pointed out by Dr. Chawla. And the way we are open to it, you never know how we start moving from one place to other. So we have to take precautions. The COVID-appropriate behavior should be taken. And yesterday, I think in that meeting also, they emphasized on, again, masking to be taken up, because the COVID-appropriate behavior plus the vaccination was the only way to look forward. So the second point which Dr. Sridharan said was that about the number of deaths were higher in the initial wave. There were 2 reasons. One, of course, we were not aware of what this COVID is. It's an absolutely new kid in block. So we were not even knowing how to tackle with it. But by the time we came to know how to tackle them, it was more of the treatment of conservative rather than getting panicky. We knew how to tackle these problems. So combination of all these things, I think we should be able to take care of the problem, but at the same time, be cautious.
Sure. Dr. Chawla, if I may come back to you, one concern that, in fact, not a concern, rather, this was something that the minister acknowledged as a part of that press briefing, is that the current infrastructure, the health infrastructure that we have, given the experience of the last 24 odd months, it is competent to deal with any challenges that may come up. Your quick take on whether the state of readiness is such that any new variant that may perhaps come to light will be addressed sufficiently and competently by the healthcare infrastructure?
Absolutely. There is a lot of difference between the first and second wave and now, because we've all faced it, we are all prepared. Most of the doctors, the hospitals, everybody knows how to treat that, how to treat respiratory failure in these patients. And over and above, most of the population is vaccinated. Although they have not taken the booster shot, only, as I heard, only 30% around people have taken the booster shot, but they should take now above 18 years. But otherwise, there is a much more difference than it was earlier. So we are well prepared and we are well immunized as well.
In fact, you were alluding to a point that I was trying to raise once again with Dr. Sasidharan. Dr. Sasidharan, if I may come to you on the issue of booster shots, the latest concerns that we have seen that the health minister as well is deliberating on the subject. Does it require us to perhaps revisit the booster policy for perhaps a wider spread of the booster shots within the general population?
What we should understand is that the booster is required, period. Booster has to be given to a very large population of people. We must understand that the effect of the second booster is 86% against a severe disease forming. That is the reason that the booster, the third booster, has to be given. We are presently only at approximately 1/4 of our population that has been boosted. 1/4 to 1/3 of our population has been boosted. We should reach somewhere near 50 to 60% of our population, and then the combination of the booster related immunity and the natural infection immunity will create a sort of a hybrid immunity which is much more stronger than just a herd immunity or just a vaccine-related immunity. And that is why, to prevent another surge, a wave, or any other eventuality, the answer is to actually have a wider coverage with respect to vaccination and boosters.
Interesting. Dr. Nair, let me also come to you now. One of the concerns that has emerged, at least as far as the government is concerned, is the ongoing festive season. It will continue on to Christmas, New Year's, and then subsequently the big wedding season that we have concluding in the month of March. Can you share with us some insight on perhaps what are some of these safety precautions that can be exercised at an individual level as people go about the next quarter or so?
So, like it has already been said, and I would like to reiterate about the COVID-appropriate behavior. I'm keep social distancing, hand hygiene, and masking. It is going to come back. And of course, already been said, my friend, by the vaccination again is very important. See, all those pandemic which has occurred in the past, the epidemic or pandemic, whether it was smallpox or polio, is a vaccination which really helped us to, defeat this these enemies. So again, if we step up the booster or a precautionary dose, what we call it, it is less 27 to 30%. If we boost it up, then definitely there will be less chance of getting infected. And as far as the mass gathering or the festive season is concerned, again, my request to most of the people who are taking part in it, of course, it's a high time we have taken part in the festival, but please take appropriate behavior, have precautionary dose so that you don't get infected. In fact, even if you get infected, you will not have a very severe infection. Keep an appropriate distance, masking should be there, hand hygiene should be there. And if anyone who is not feeling well because he might be getting infected, please talk to the physician, please see your physician so that you're not spreading it further. So we need to really pull up our socks, because this festive season, we have to take full precautions.
Right, Dr. Nair, thank you so much for sharing your inputs. And I'd like to thank all of our panelists, Dr. Chawla, Dr. Sasidharan, as well as Dr. Nair, for giving us perspective and for helping us decode the situation as we read about it and as we learn more about it, about the COVID crisis. But that's all the time that we have for. It's a wrap on this edition of Business 360. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned to CNBC TV18. The news and updates will continue on the other side.